Good evening, race fans, and welcome to round number 3 of the Team Goon Squad Formula One Challenge, the second season of the Formula One Challenge. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here today, 1080p, 60 frames a second. We are here today at Hockenheim Ring, yet another historic track with Formula One. So, as drivers get themselves out onto the starting grid and ready to start off today's race here, starting off in first place, it is going to be Finley Fitzsimmons starting off in first place with Daniel Beauchamp in the 451, starting off in second place, rounding out your first row. Troy Banks in the 8 machine starting off in third place. Matthew Davidson in the 22 in fourth. Alex Penn starting off in fifth place. Christopher Pearson in the 16 starting off in 6th place. James Silvers in the 17 in 7th. Jack Mundy in 8th place. And that is going to round out our field here. I do believe Colin Fargarty, I believe, is in 11th as it shows currently, but I'm not sure exactly. He's not showing that he's starting here for the start of the feature race here today. 33 laps here around Hockenheim Ring, as the drivers get themselves out onto the starting grid and patiently await for the 5 red lights to go out, and away we go for the first lap here at Hockenheim Ring. And here we go, folks. Drivers getting themselves ready to go. The 5 lights are about to go out here on the grid. And away we go. The green flag flies. There you see action from the back of the field. I believe that was Jack Mundy, working his way, trying to get his way up the back of the grid here as quickly as he possibly can. But they're spinning, happening back towards the out of the first turn. James Silvers, Christopher Pearson, both seeming to be involved in that first turn incident here right out of turn 1, but both going to keep it back out onto track and get this race back going here for these two. Finley Fitzsimmons, Daniel Beauchamp, now both going to be 1 and 2 here on this restart, and both going to be looking rather impressive here as well. Finley Fitzsimmons doing a great job leading this field at the moment with just about a second of a gap between his teammate Daniel Beauchamp and the 451. Oh, there's a little bit of action though between the two drivers of Alex Penn. Not sure who else that was. Christopher Pearson working his way through there. I believe that was Jack Mundy. That might have possibly had a little bit of a moment there, getting tied up with Silvers. Alex Penn coming down into the pits. Or excuse me, that was with Penn, not Silvers. My apologies, James. But Alex Penn is going to work his way down into pit road and have to get that 30 machine looked at and repaired. Jack Mundy also working his way down into the pits now as well, as it would look like Matthew Davidson. So a few drivers here already finding themselves down in that pit lane, having to get some damage repaired very early on at the start of this race here. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this progresses on for the remainder of this race, really, with kind of all of these incidents happening this early on. But it does appear that the safety car has come out as would be expected. So we are going to have a lap around with the safety car in tow here. And here we see Joseph Penn in the safety car making his way around the track here with the rest of the field in tow here. So Joseph Penn, a big thank you to him to having a real safety car driver available to us. It makes things a little bit more realistic, a little bit more timely, if you will, as they can work with race control and come in as needed or stay out longer if needed. it's great to have that asset available when it can be used. So the field's going to get stacked back up here, and only after just a few laps. We are on lap 3 as we come across the line here at Hockenheim Ring. So not a whole lot of action, really. Well, I say that, but there was quite a number of drivers that got themselves kind of tangled up right out of the first turn, and really ultimately finding themselves kind of sprawled out as the race started. Could be attributed to the cold tires right out of the start of the race here, but it could also just be that these drivers are really trying to give each other the beans here, trying to really excel and push one another as much as they possibly can throughout this season. So Race Hub Motorsports right now has the lead for this race, with Finley Fitzsimmons, Daniel Beauchamp both going to be in the lead at this point in time, and Jack Mundy going to find himself back in that 6th place spot. But either way, for Race Hub, is going to be a very, very strong finish. And now, given that we have 2 really strong drivers in this series, both competing in this team here for Race Hub Motorsports, it's a really great thing to see this kind of a grid lockout week in, week out with these 2 drivers up here in the front. Now that isn't always the case, and we've seen a few drivers here in this season that have really shown a lot of promise, and I hope to see that continue and grow as we go forward here. But a lot of racing that we have left here to do yet, so I wouldn't exactly say that it is set in stone that these 2 are going to finish where they are currently. But look at that beautiful view of the field, trying to get their tires warmed up here, as I do believe we might see that pace car, or safety car rather, come down into the pits here in a few moments. We will have to keep our eyes open and look. But at this moment, Finley Fitzsimmons, Daniel Beauchamp, Troy Banks, all 1, 2, and 3 on this restart. All 3 of them have stayed in the same spot that they started in here on lap 4 of 33. Krister Person, excuse me if I'm saying that wrong, James Silvers going to be 4th and 5th with Jack Mundy in 6th place. All 3 of those drivers up 2 spots from the start of their race. Now that could also be attributed to the fact that we had Matthew Davidson, Alex Penn both come down into the pits for one various reason or another, probably due to damage, as we have seen already. But I do have a feeling that we are going to see this safety car come down into the pits here. I would have to guess here. And yes, indeed, the pace car has come back into the pits, and we have a car. James Silvers all the way back around. He finds himself spun. Oh no, there's more carnage out of turn 1. Jack Mundy involved in this one. Finley Fitzsimmons also gets collected into this one, into that wreck here. We're looking at Troy Banks, though, up into 2nd place as Daniel Beauchamp takes his way into 1st place. Now going to be leading this field, his teammate, Finley Fitzsimmons, down 4 spots from the lead. I gotta say that that 6 machine is not looking, well, it actually doesn't look too bad. He might not have made contact. Actually, nope. Looking a little bit closer at that rear wing, there's definitely a little bit of contact made. And it does look like that the pace car, the safety car, is going to make its way back out onto the field here. So as the field works their way back to the rear end of that safety car here. Excuse me, folks. I'm looking for a particular something here, so that way we can show cautions without having to explain it every time. But that does not appear to be an option here at this point in time, but that is a-okay. Anywho, anyhow, you know, these restarts have really already, well, I say restarts, but we've only had one thus far. But as the field gets themselves, actually, I believe we're already back to racing here, as the safety car made a quick elusive move on me back into the pits here. But right now, Daniel Beauchamp still out in front with Troy Banks following behind in second place here. I'm really curious to know what's going to happen here with Finley Fitzsimmons. Oh, wow. Snaps it sideways, finds himself down into the pit road. A very convenient way to end up into the pits, but he's going to have to come drive through the pits here, and that's going to cost him definitely some time here and possibly a position. He's going to drop down into his pit box here as well, past his teammate Jack Mundy, who you see just behind him in the 320 machine. Absolutely mangled mess that 320 machine is looking. Not much left of that race car here, and it does look like the field has stacked back up behind the the safety car here at Hockenheim Ring. Lap 7 of 33 here. And let's take a look at our weather here at the moment while we're kind of having a little bit of a leisure moment. 26 degrees Celsius here in Hockenheim Ring in Germany. So not exactly the warmest out here in Germany, but I gotta say, you know, that almost would seem ideal for cars like this. On track right now, it appears to be 31 degrees Celsius. So I'd almost would have to imagine that it's not exactly all that warm out here, out on track at the moment. So right now, you know, looking at the track temperatures, which roughly equates out to about 90 degrees Fahrenheit for those Americans watching this broadcast back. So pretty ideal temperatures, I would have to say, for a track and for these tires. These guys definitely going to be seeing a lot of grip here. Daniel, Troy Banks, I believe, possibly Alex Penn here. No, Alex is going to be on those hard whites, I think. Or soft whites. Nope. I was right. Hard whites. Yes, he is. He's going to be on those hard whites. I am actually a little surprised by that. So no one here is appearing, that I can tell, to be on those. Let's see if we can take a look at if this is going to work here for us. It might not. It has been giving us a little bit of trouble in the past. Let's see if it's going to work this time. It is not. Beautiful. Love to see it. Okay. So again, we're going to have to just trust our old eyeballs here and go with what we see versus what is available to us in that information. But anyway, anyhow, so a little surprising to see a couple drivers, maybe one or two, that are opting to use that hard white compound. Alex Penn being, I think, the only other one. And look at this, Christopher Pearson going to be on those soft reds and all the way at the tail end of this field. So got to be wondering if those soft reds are not what you want to be starting out on here in Hockenheim. Hockenheim also not exactly the easiest track here at the moment. So looking at right now, Daniel Beauchamp following the lead right now at this point in time. Looks like we had a little bit of trouble back here. Christopher Pearson, possibly. That might be a little outdated information at the moment. But look at Daniel Beauchamp. And here we can see the battle on the track map between Daniel Beauchamp and Troy Banks happening at this point in time. As we continue to look here, James Silver's following in 4th place. Finley Fitzsimmons worked his way back up into 3rd. James Silver's going to be getting a little bit of trouble here from Christopher Pearson. In the 16, he's right on the tail here. Let's see if Christopher is able to keep things up on the rear end of James Silver's, backing off a little bit through this really, really tricky section here. We can see the battle on the track map now between James Silver's and Christopher Pearson. Alex Penn had a little bit of a moment just a moment ago, finding himself off track. Does not appear to have suffered too much damage. I can't exactly say for certain, but as that happens here, Christopher Pearson able to get his way around into 4th place. A great move from the 16 machine up into 14th. James Silver's trying to stay right on the tail end, but he's going to lose a little bit of that speed here. He's going to fall back just by a few seconds here. Almost 2 seconds, actually. About 1.5 seconds separates these two at this point in time. And right now, a lot of this field really has separated. Lap 11 of 33. Look at that, James Silver's getting himself out of turn 1, spun around. Seems to be another very tricky section of this track that drivers have struggled with. The way that turn 1 is set up, it almost seems like you're able to carry a lot more speed going through that section than you realistically are. You really have to slow that car down just a little bit more than you might think. At least it's what it seems like to me. I could be wrong about that just a little bit, but just from what I'm seeing, it definitely seems like these guys might be trying to carry a little bit too much speed through there, ultimately causing a few issues here and there. But for Finley Fitzsimmons right now, he's all the way back up into 3rd place, and really, I gotta say, very impressive work here from the 6 of Finley. Having that little bit of an issue a few laps ago. Let's see where exactly that was. That was lap 5 that he had that issue. So about 7 laps ago that we saw Jack Mundy fall all the way back. I believe it was about P6 or P8, somewhere in that margin or neighborhood. And look at this, DRS is open. He's on the tail end of Troy Banks. He's going to try and swing it around. They make contact. Going through the hairpin. Oh, man. Troy Banks absolutely getting into the side of the 6 of Finley. very, very clear contact between those two, and I gotta say that it almost seemed like, oh man, it's kind of hard to say who was really at fault for that, because Finley really could have gave him a little bit more room, but Troy also he should have saw that coming. But really, it's hard to kind of point fingers at anyone individually in that scenario. That definitely seemed like it was bad place, bad time for both drivers in that situation there. But ultimately, going to find themselves collected into one another, but not really affecting the time of Finley Fitzsimmons here. He is on the move right now, trying to catch up back to his teammate of Daniel Beauchamp in the 451, who definitely looks like he is sandbagging that car right now, trying to let his teammate catch back up here, might even possibly trying to work a little bit of strategy here as we close in towards the halfway point. Lap 17 will be the halfway point in the feature race, and is also the length of our sprint race at the end. And look at this, Jack Mundy, the 320 machine, finds himself spun out. I'm not exactly certain what turn this is. We're about 3/4 of the way through the track here, but he looks like he's having a hard time getting it back going here and getting it started. Finley, though, coming down here into the pits. Okay, interesting. Lap 13 here on 33, and Finley has already come down into the pits twice now as he drops down into his pit box. Does not appear to be getting any tires or anything like that. I'm not sure if there's a penalty being served for the 6th machine. Yeah, he's still in the pits. Maybe he's getting a little bit of damage service. I'm not quite sure what exactly is going on there for Race Hub Motorsports and the rest of their team, as Daniel Beauchamp still leads the race. So they're not exactly having the worst day as it would currently seem, but definitely definitely seems like it could be a little bit better. Wow. Coming through the final few turns there, Daniel Beauchamp almost saw himself get a little bit loose. It looked like he kept it together really, really well. We're going to ride on here with Krister Persson as he closes in on the rear end of Troy Banks, riding on the top of the 16 machine as we close in on the rear end. Oh, wow, that was real close there, Krister. Keeping it together, though. He's still moving and grooving. You can see on his wheel. Here we go, closing in very, very nicely here. And I believe he's going to have another DRS zone here opened up here to him very soon, coming out of these final few turns. Oh, here we go. Smooth work here from Krister, trying to stay on the rear end of Troy Banks. Through the stadium section, keeping it together, real smooth, real nice. Very clean driving. DRS is open. Here we go. Down the final stretch here into turn 1. The same section that we've seen multiple drivers have really a lot of troubles in here. But that was very clean driving from Krister Persson and Troy Banks. But look at this. Finley Fitzsimmons still down here in the pits. Matthew Davidson as well. I'm not exactly certain what's going on here for Finley, but that is very rough. Look at Jack Mundy making his way out onto track and quickly bringing it right back in. Not exactly sure what's going on here. Hockenheim Definitely seems like it's taken its fair share of drivers throughout this race here. Oh no! Daniel Beauchamp gets it loose. Oh, folks. Where is this? Okay, that's right out of turn 2. Oh, that is a nasty chicane to have that happen. And really for Daniel, it's not going to affect him too much. He's not going to be... There's no one going to be exactly knocking on his door like Krister Persson is doing right now to that of Troy Banks. Look at this as these two battle here once again. Let's actually ride on board here with Troy Banks as he goes wide, trying to hold on to it, trying to keep his second place spot, trying to do everything that he possibly can here. Very smooth work here from Troy Banks in the 8 machine. Down the final straight and across the checkered line. He's still, at this point in time, holding on to second place, and Krister trying to do all that he can to get himself up into that second place spot. Oh, whoa, right as I say that. Coming into the chicane in turn 2. Krister finds himself a little loose. He's going to have to back off there, and ultimately, that's going to bring... Oh, wow, that gap is quickly increasing here. As Troy Banks tries to do everything that he can to increase that gap between himself and Krister. As a lot of our field has still not come out of the pits here. They're all still there for the most part. Finley Fitzsimmons, Jack Mundy of Race Hub Motorsports, both still down in the pits here. James Silvers of Cornerstone Motorworks, also still in the pits, but his teammate Alex Penn holding on to 4th place here. Still out on a track at this moment. Almost gets himself a little bit of piece of action here. Does a very good job of avoiding the gravel. Almost had a little bit of a moment there. Ultimately keeping it together. Lap 19 of 33 here at Hockenheim Ring. So as Daniel continues on with his lead here, Troy Banks still trying to, well, actually, as I'm looking here, Krister's actually, oh, whoa, Krister having a little bit of a moment out of the final turn down the front straight, or the final straight, I should say, rather. Krister really pushing this 16, trying to get everything he can out of that 16 machine, trying to push, and he's on those soft reds here as well. So I gotta wonder, let's see here. So it looks like Krister has already come down into pit road. He came down pit road on lap 5. Not sure if he came in for tires. I don't think he did. He might have, actually. He very well could have. But either way, coming out to soft reds, very interesting choice here, and it looks like he might even be starting to fight those a little bit here as he is seemingly all over the track here, just trying to maintain that distance that he has worked for between himself and Troy Banks. Trying to hold on to that third place spot, and I'm really curious to see if we're going to see that 16 come down into pits anytime soon here and get a new set of tires before he finishes the race out here. He came in lap 5, so I can't imagine that he's going to stay out a whole lot longer here, as we'll watch an Alex Penn, who's also stayed out on the same set of tires here since lap number 1. Going to be on those hard whites, so going to be the driver that is able to stay out the longest out of the rest of the field here. And that definitely seems to be the case at this point in time. Daniel Beauchamp, Troy Banks, both, however, started out, I believe, both on the mediums, and are going to be pushing that 22-lap margin here as Daniel comes across the line here at Hockenheim. So I have a feeling that Daniel and Troy Banks both are going to be coming down here into the pits, I would have to say, in the next 2 to 3 laps. Would have to be my guess here, but with only just about 11 laps left to go here, it's really hard to say if there's going to be any sort of lead changes or any position changes based on pit strategy. I can't really say that for certain at this point in time, as the field really has gotten themselves quite spread out, and I think that's just purely the nature of Hockenheim. It's a not the hardest track, but it's definitely takes some time to get used to. You definitely have to put your time in here at Hockenheim to be fast, be efficient, and be able to survive a race. It's definitely one of those tracks that you got to put your time in, otherwise you are not going to perform that well coming into it with little to no practice. It's definitely not a great idea. I could say that firsthand, knowing this track. It is definitely not a forgiving one, to say the least. So it looks like there, whoa, Daniel might have got a little bit loose, possibly there just for a moment. It might have been just getting a little bit wide here. But like I said, he is going to be coming into that pit road here very, very soon, I would have to imagine. I can't see Daniel wanting to stick out much longer on these intermediates. And given the Formula One rules for the Formula One Challenge here, you are required to come down into the pits and get a different set of tires before the end of the race. And here we go. That's going to start the pit cycle here for Daniel. And by different tires, I mean a different compound of tires here as well, just to clear up any confusion in that matter. So here we go, right on the tail of his teammate, Troy Banks. Christopher Pearson also coming down into the pits here as well. And right back out, Daniel Beauchamp, he goes a 4.65 was his pit time for that. Now, I just want to give you guys a little bit of kind of like a difference, I should say, of this year, well, the new car in Formula One, the real Formula One car, the 2022, and this car right here, the one that was run from, I believe it was 2014 2015 to 2021. I might be off by a year on the start of that. I think it was 2015 though, was when this model, the W12, was introduced. Pit stops now for this car, just to give you a little bit of contrast here. Again, Daniel Beauchamp just came out of the pits with a pit time of 4.65. Let's actually pull that up here so you folks can see that here at home. So there it is on the left-hand side of your screen. You can see the driver's pit lap time, or pit time rather. A 4.6 for Daniel Beauchamp. Troy Banks with a 4.7. This year, Red Bull is actually setting the pace. I believe the last race in Australia, they set a pit stop time of like 2.4 seconds. It was absolutely wild. So just process that for a moment, however you will. To me, it's just, I find that absolutely incredible. You know, in the time that I have sat here rambling, or even just thought about what I'm going to say next, easily the entire field could have made their way through their pits and been out back on track already. So, the mere fact that a car can come into its pit stall and be back out in basically the blink of an eye, incredible. Absolutely incredible. Now, granted, of course, we don't have to worry about things like fuel. That isn't exactly a worry here for the Formula One cars, as it is against the rules and regulations for FIA, for Formula One, to have refueling. I believe there is a class of Formula car. I can't remember which one. I want to say it's like F2000 possibly. I could be wrong. I want to say there is one class of Formula. It's one of the smaller classes that does allow refueling, but it is a much slower class, and I believe it is more intended and designed for the entry-level driver who might be coming out of karting and looking to get into a more, well, a little bit more powerful set of wheels, if you will. But lap 27, as Daniel Beauchamp, I believe, he crossed the line just a moment ago, set the fastest lap time this last time around with a 1.11.78 as his fast time here around Hockenheim. Now, with just about over a minute for each of these laps, you know, it's really interesting how fast this track actually is. Now, if you're looking at the track map, you might think to yourself, wow, you know, it looks like it might take a little bit longer, but just over a minute, about a minute, 10 seconds. If you're Daniel Beauchamp, that you're able to get around this circuit here, and really, I think that's just absolutely impressive to see these drivers master a circuit like Hockenheim that just has really a healthy mixture, in my opinion, a healthy mixture of turns that really kind of force the driver to really lock themselves in. You really got to be on point in a circuit like Hockenheim. Now, it's not exactly the most challenging track that a Formula One driver could find themselves at, but I would like to say that Hockenheim is definitely up there in level of challenge, I would say. But either way, either how, at this point in time, Daniel Beauchamp still the race leader. Troy Banks in second place. Christopher Pearson in third. Alex Penn going to be in fourth place here. at this point in time. So with just about 6 laps left to go here before we see the checkered flag for the end of the race here, it does appear that this is probably going to be how this field plays out. I don't really expect to see any major movements. Everyone has come back down into the pits. Everyone has got their final set of tires. Daniel's going to be on those soft reds here as well, so that would also explain why he was able to set that fast time just a few laps ago. So Daniel Beauchamp here still doing an incredible job working his way around Hockenheim. Lap 29 of 33. And really, it's just been a phenomenal race. Let's actually ride on board here with Daniel Beauchamp for a moment, and let's just listen in to the 451 and just enjoy a lap around Hockenheim ring. Some mighty fine driving from Daniel Beauchamp in the 451 machine. So Alex Penn has a little bit of a moment, finds himself off track here. Quickly gets himself back onto the grid. And it looks like Alex here is still going to be on those same sets of hard whites that he started on here. Really extending the life of them. Might even really be optimal for Alex Penn here. Not exactly too certain, as it seems like Alex is starting to have a little bit of struggles here in the final few laps of the race, as Daniel Beauchamp flying through the circuit here. I just absolutely love the sound of these cars here in this simulator. Definitely nothing else like it. It is just sounds like a spaceship. It is absolutely wonderful listening to these cars fly around the track here, even in the simulation world. But lap 32 of 33 here, we are just about ready to wrap up our feature. And we will be going into our sprint race. 17 laps here again around Hockenheim. As the white flag flies, this is our final lap here for round number 3 of the Formula One Challenge. Troy Banks, Christopher Pearson still going to be second and third. Alex Penn finding himself in 4th place at this point in time. As Daniel Beauchamp prepares to cross the line here. Working his way through the final few turns of the track. He will come down the final straight. And as he does across the checkered line, he will take home the win for the feature. As now Troy Banks and Christopher Pearson also work their way through the final portion of the track here. Troy Banks is going to find himself across the line, taking home 2nd place. Our unofficial results here: Daniel Beauchamp taking home 1st place, Troy Banks in 2nd, Alex Penn in 3rd, Christopher Pearson going to be taking home 4th. As he comes down into pits, and probably by mistake here as well. But James Silver's in 5th, Jack Mundy in 6th, Finley Fitzsimmons in 7th, Matthew Davidson in 8th. And that will be the rest of our field here for the feature race today. And we will take a quick break here for just a moment. And when we come back, we will get started with our sprint race. Folks, stay tuned and we will be back for more.
Driver Carrington gets dumped by Benami. The leaders are winding up here. Daytona's a pit. What is out?
Welcome back, race fans, and we have the starting grid ready and here for us for the sprint race for round number 3 of the Formula One Challenge. Finley Fitzsimmons out in front with Daniel Beauchamp starting out in 2nd place, Troy Banks in 3rd, Matthew Davidson in 4th, Alex Penn in 5th, Christopher Pearson in 6th place, James Silvers in 7th, Jack Mundy in 8th. So as our field is ready for the sprint race here, 17 laps that we'll be completing As you can hear the drivers getting themselves ready to go here. There you go. And we had the field inverted there on the start as Matthew Davidson works his way out of turn 1. And who was that? Christopher Pearson almost gets himself in a bit of trouble there, finding himself all the way back into 8th place here. Alex Penn going to be duking it out here. Matthew Davidson, Troy St. James Silver is going to be finding himself spun out sideways here. Battles happening towards the front though. Alex Penn, Jack Mundy, Matthew Davidson. All three of these drivers duking it out for first place, all on these soft reds here. Here we go, through the hairpin. Matthew Davidson looking very smooth there in that 22 machine. See, he has a little bit of challengers on the outside. Jack Mundy trying to keep his way out in front here. Alex Penn falling back in second place in the 30 machine. Trying to do that all that he can here on this restart. Following very closely behind Jack Mundy here, trying to stay on the tail if he possibly can here. We're going to ride on board with Alex Penn here for a moment. Alex tries to stick on the tail end here. Let's see what happens here between Daniel Beauchamp. DRS is open there, I believe, for a moment for the 451. Staying right on the rear end of the 30 of Alex Penn here. His teammate Jack Mundy still leading the pack. So right now, a lot of these drivers here looking fairly calm, fairly steady. Some of them falling into some smaller battles here as we come across the line, lap 3 of 17. Oh, Daniel staying right on the tail end here of Alex Penn. Just behind him, Finley Fitzsimmons goes a little wide as he's on the outside of Matthew Davidson. Race Hub Motorsports going to see if they can try and get a team lockout here in the podium. But that's going to require Alex Penn here to give up that second place spot here to Daniel Beauchamp. And right now, Alex Penn is doing all that he can to hold off the 451 of Daniel Beauchamp. Still looking here with Daniel right now, trying to see if he can clear the path here for Race Hub to get that top lockout here. Because we're actually going to ride on the very tippy top of that 451 machine. Get a little bit more of a top-down view here. As there he goes, Daniel Beauchamp able to get himself around the 30 of Alex Penn here. Very, very close. Braking zone there for Jack Mundy. As now he's going to be 1 and 2 with the points leader at this point in time. So, you know, having these teams going into the second season of the Formula One Challenge, it's definitely thrown a little bit more of a different dynamic into how the race goes, and really great to see all the drivers come together and really try and support one another and help each other improve in this car and in the series. There we go, Daniel Beauchamp with DRS open on his teammate. He's going to make the pass into first place here now. Jack Mundy going to be right on the tail of oh, here we go. Finley Fitzsimmons going to try to make a pass on the inside of Alex Penn here. Doesn't quite make it work as Alex Penn able to keep it out on in front of the 6 of Finley here, but still quite a few laps left to go here, just about 12, 13 laps before we see the checkered flag fly here for the sprint. Oh, Finley Fitzsimmons. Oh no, Finley. That is not looking good there for Finley. He, a little bit of a lockup there possibly. Not able to recover in time. And there goes the chances of a top 3 finish for Race Hub. Or it's podium lockout. I almost said lockout. I don't know where that came from. A podium lockout for Team Race Hub. And here we go. Now we have Jack Mundy once again trying to use DRS to, looks like, just stay on the tail end of Daniel Beauchamp here. Using that drag reduction system to his advantage to close that gap when it's necessary. Alex Penn here trying to do all that he can to keep himself up here in the top 3. And really just within eyesight of these 2 drivers in front of him. Jack Mundy right now that I believe he's got his eyes set on. A lot of this field here really has started to settle out for the most part. Looking here, if you're looking at the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you can see the time delta difference between both Daniel Beauchamp and Jack Mundy at this point in time. So right now, Mundy not exactly closing that gap here on Daniel. I think Daniel's really getting himself comfortable, really getting settled in, and Jack Mundy trying to do everything that he can to keep himself within distance of his teammate Daniel here. But Daniel's just an extremely fast driver, and I think it's not going to be exactly there. You see it getting updated as we come across the line here. Lap 8 of 17. Just about to that halfway point here in the sprint race. Looking at these 2, Alex Penn, Jack Mundy, like I was saying before, they were going to find each other here very, very shortly, and it was just a matter of time before Alex Penn here was able to get his way back up to the front of the field. We're currently riding along here with Alex Penn. Just trying to see how the action unfolds here for the 30 machine. Very nice work through turn 1. Here we go. Very, very good brake work there from Alex. Trying to close in on the tail of Jack Mundy in the 320. Jack trying to do everything he can to hold on to second place here. Alex is going to take the outside route here. Jack with the inside line advantage, able to get a little bit more speed, but Alex now is going to have DRS to his advantage. You can see Jack charging those batteries as indicated by the light on the back of his car as Alex Penn gets it loose, spins it out. And the rest of the field going to stack up around him now. That's going to hurt Alex Penn, falling back into 4th place. Giving Troy Banks back his 3rd place spot that he started in at the feature. So Troy now going to be back up here in the top 3. Let's see if Troy's going to be able to get his way back to the rear end of that 320 machine of Jack Mundy in 2nd place at this point in time. Just based on timing, it looks like he might possibly be able to do so here. A lot of this field looking trying to stay as calm and collected as they possibly can here. With just about 10 laps left to go. Or excuse me, 7 laps left to go. You can see up at the right-hand top of your screen the track map, and really the field for 2nd place right now is getting fairly stacked up on one another. Each of these drivers, with the exception of Matthew Davidson, all showing within roughly about 2-3 seconds of each other. I'm very curious to see if these guys are going to be able to stack themselves back up to one another and possibly have a 3 or 4-way battle for 2nd, or maybe even 3rd. So Daniel Beauchamp right now with almost 10 seconds separating himself and Jack Mundy. Lap 12 of 17 at this moment. There's really not a whole lot of time left in this race, and right now, like I was saying before, I think the only battle that I expect to see unfold here before too long is going to be between 2nd or 3rd place. Jack Mundy there, a little bit of a tire lockup there, it seemed like. ultimately keeping it together, though. Everyone's doing a fantastic job here in this sprint race. Right now, the only few drivers that have found their way down into the pits, Christopher Pearson, Finley Fitzsimmons, James Silvers. All three of these drivers have already found their way down into the pits here early on in this race. Krister came down in lap 9, Finley Fitzsimmons lap 5, and James Silvers lap 3 here in the sprint race. And all three of them, ironically, both had issues, I believe, going into turn 1, if I'm not mistaken. So Daniel Beauchamp had a little bit of a moment, came off track there for just a moment. That doesn't affect him here too badly, as we're on lap 14 of 17, though. Look at this, though. Like I was saying, second place, they were going to see that battle unfold here. Troy Banks, Jack Mundy, both going to be side by side. Troy able to stick it out in front for just a moment here. So we're going to ride on board with Jack Mundy in the 320 machine. See if Jack has got anything in store for Troy Banks, as we are going to be coming up on the final few laps here. Oh no! Jack Mundy overshoots the turn. Finds himself on the grass, but quickly gets himself back onto track here with no damage that I can tell. Looks like he might have got a little bit of scraping on the front wing there, but it doesn't seem to be affected too severely. Lap 15 of 17 here, folks. So once Daniel comes across the line here in just a few moments, it'll be lap 16 of 17 and just 2 laps left to go here before the end of the race. So Daniel Beauchamp here, after really strong performance in the feature, going to come away into the sprint and do what he does best, and really having his teammates, Finley Fitzsimmons, fall off early on here in this sprint race is not ideal. Yeah, this is a team event after all. As much as Daniel probably loves being up in front and loves winning, I think at the end of the day, you want to see your whole team do well. And to see Finley Fitzsimmons fall off lap 5, really tough to see. But we have Jack Mundy still here in 4th place, so really great to see all these drivers here doing the best that they possibly can. As Daniel comes across the line here for the final time, or second to final time here, the white flag is going to fly. So a lot of this action here that I was expecting to see happen here And second and third really kind of fell off a lot sooner than I thought it would. You know, and I think that's just really kind of just a part of how these cars are. All of these drivers are on the softer red, so I don't think that the pace is really there at this point in the race. But the checkered flag is going to fly here as Daniel comes across the line and takes home the win. Daniel Beauchamp, back-to-back wins here for Hockenheim. Troy Banks in second. Alex Penn in third for the sprint. Matthew Davidson in fourth. Jack Mundy in fifth. Krister Persson in sixth. Finley Fitzsimmons in seventh. James Silvers in eighth. Rounding out the field here. But that is going to conclude our coverage of round number 3 of the Team Goon Squad Formula One Challenge. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all for round number 4 at, wait for it, Daytona. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.